Hi, Rick Harsh here, and this is the second podcast of Corona Samizdat. Unfortunately, my partner, uh, Sasha Muniza, was unable to make it here because I forgot to tell him that I was going to do this. Because I forgot to tell myself, I didn't know I was going to do it. But I was thinking that I got some things to say that I just got to get out of the way. And there's like most podcasts, it'll be at least tangentially and related to some of the books that we sell. And in this case, it's one that I wrote. It's called The Assassination of Olof Palme. And the key thing to remember here, if you've read that book, you probably were distracted from the fact that it's called The Assassination of Olof Palme. And, there's very little about Olof Palme in there on the surface. Underneath, there's a great deal that's tangentially. That's twice I've used tangential, or one of its derivatives. Tangerine, it's another one. Tango, it's another one. Tangophorus, that's 5. But we'll stop there. So the thing is, if you read that book, you'll say, seems to be his main focus is on what are now fairly widely known as the stay-behind armies, the Gladio program, as it's known in Italy, the more secret than CIA organization that was created by secret services in the United States and England. And, if you don't know about it, watch on YouTube. There's a show called Gladio something or other. It's about 2.5 hours. Brilliant stuff. This is stuff that in the United States you might think, that's a fucking conspiracy theory. Well, it sure is, but it's also history. And it's very well known in Europe. And the problem partly may have been that when it became public, when it really blew up, the U.S. news was all about Saddam Hussein in 1991, I believe, or 1990 maybe, when they attacked Kuwait, when Iraq attacked Kuwait, and so it didn't make it on a lot of news programs. Looks like I got a gasoline warning here, so now we're plugged in. Now, this I try to do things as coherently as possible without paying much attention to what I'm doing, and so I don't take any notes. But if I did, you'd notice. I'd probably be like this. Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to bring up is the assassination of Olof Palme, which seems to be more about strategies of tension in Italy, about the Nobel Prize winning Dario Fo, his play, what was it, of an anarchist, the something of an anarchist, the accidental death of an anarchist, which is an ironic title. There was a right-wing bombing of a bank that was blamed on the left. They arrested some anarchists, and one of them accidentally died, 4th floor window, in the winter. There's a very funny song about that. In December in Milano, it's really hot, so you gotta have your windows open. Well, it's actually pretty fucking cold. So there's the irony. How did he fall from the 4th floor? Yeah. So perfectly innocent man was killed, and there's I don't mean to ruin the book for you, but it might help if you're going along that is the most serious plot thread. The thing about the joke I'm telling about the assassination of Olof Palme is that I've read a lot about it. There are lots of theories about it and lots of potential killers, and one of them one of the more ridiculous ones became just recently, a few years ago, became the state story. The official story of the state was that this guy who was, just clearly the least probable, and he definitely didn't do it, but they decided he did, and now it's solved. But the joke in the book is that you don't really have to find out. You don't have to know, and you're probably not gonna know, but you'll know. Everybody knows. In cases like this, at that place and time, it was CIA, definitely CIA. Sometimes you just know. If somebody's gonna bomb a bunch of fishermen in the Caribbean and say they were drug dealers, it's gonna be the United States right now. You know that. You don't have to ask. If some rogue regime is gonna bomb the United Arab Emirates, you know who it's gonna be. It's gonna be Israel. They bombed Doha. Well, if you'd have said, who would bomb Doha? Nobody would bomb Doha. And somebody in the room would say, well, if it is somebody, it's going to be fucking Israel. And, of course it was Israel. So I'm thinking, I'm thinking about this, several things. This guy, Charlie Kirk, if someone assassinated him in, a conspiratorial manner, well, it was probably conspiratorial regardless, the person who did it probably conspired to do it, at least with himself, if it was just that one guy. If it wasn't that one guy, and who knows, we may find out someday that it definitely wasn't him. But if it was an organized group or whatever, Israel, of course. There's I could go on about that and why we would suspect Israel. But if someone did it, it was Israel. And so, now then I want to go to the main topic just that quickly. I'm not going to talk about some things that I found this thing where it's got notes on it. And one of the notes says, Islamo-fascist barbarians storm the gates of Jerusalem. And I'm wondering, where the fuck was that? Yeah. I was watching, I don't know Charlie Kirk. I didn't know Charlie Kirk. He never wrote me. I never wrote him. And we never talked to each other. And I never saw him once on a program. Charlie Kirk died, and I thought, what? That old talk show host? I thought it was Charlie Rose. What do I know? Well, so I quick look for some old clip of this Charlie Kirk guy. Is he right? Is he left? I think I knew pretty quickly he was right wing, not right as in right. He was he supported the notion that Trump won the election in 2020. He seemed to support the whatever it was on January 6th, but whatever it was wasn't legal, and was it an insurrection? Well, yeah, actually, technically it was an insurrection, and it was a pretty ugly thing. He was against gun control, and he promoted the myth of the Great Replacement. The Great Replacement theory, which states that people come across the border in the south of the United States to destroy the happy lives of poor white Americans. Yeah, I don't know. I've been a poor American, United States American, unfortunately. And if somebody had come across the border and said, hey, you, yeah, what do you want? Well, first you give me a place to sleep tonight, and I'll tell you what I'm here for. So, all right, sounds like a good deal. I give him a place, I feed him, give him a place to sleep. It's a him, for whatever reason. And I sit him down, we talk, and I say, so, what are your plans? What's your name? It's Carlos. Oh, Carlos, okay. Where are you from? Norway. Wow, there aren't many Norwegians called Norway coming from the south like that. Yeah, I'm a unique guy. All right, Carlos. And he looks Mexican to me. I mean, or Latin American, mix a little Indian in him, maybe. Uh, don't know. But if he says he's from Norway, he's from Norway. What do I care? He says, yeah, well, I'm Carlos. It's my nom de guerre. And it's really Olof, as in Palme. No. Anyway, so that don't let me get distracted. Look at this, get in my eye. So this Carlos, he sits at my dinner table and he's representing. He's like an advanced man for the Great Replacement theory. He says, your life, your way of life, is over. And I'll say, well, my way of life? You mean like as a wandering writer, worker? Yeah. You're a poor guy. Sometimes you're on food stamps. Sometimes you're on welfare. Sometimes you're driving a taxi. Sometimes you're writing a book. Sometimes you're working as a security guard. We are going to replace that lifestyle. And I would say, well, that sounds good. What's in it for me? I don't know, but it's that lifestyle's gone. I think I'd say, okay, I'm betting on you, Carlos. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help. As a matter of fact, my wife and kids are going to be here tomorrow. Okay, I'll put them up too. I'm betting on Carlos. Yeah, so that's the Great Replacement theory as it would play out in real life. All right. So the thing about Epstein is his wife was not wife, his Ghislaine Maxwell was the daughter of an Israeli spy or cutout or agent. I don't know. Robert Maxwell, an asset, I think we would say for sure. And he died mysteriously in the Mediterranean. And famous guy, famous story. Daughter Ghislaine Maxwell becomes, Epstein's right hand pervert, and then together they collect women and girls, and there's all this attention on this. How this is the greatest. Greatest worst, the biggest pedophilia case in the history of the United States. Probably not in the world. I mean, you got lots of inbreds in the European royal web. So who knows what kind of weird shit went on. But in modern history, maybe in recent history, who knows? Maybe in the United States too. Rich people, can get away with less these days, but the real rich can get away with maybe more than anybody ever could because they can move across the world so rapidly. They can take to the seas. They can buy islands, all this shit. And so anyway, it was a major pedophilia case, but it involved a range of women and girls. Like you don't hear of many below the age of 12. I don't know if I've heard of any. So there's like some kind of limit, like plausible deniability. With a 13-year-old, it's a lot easier to get away with than with a 9-year-old. I don't know. It's a whatever it is. It's hard to explain if you're not pedophiliac or not a friend of a pedophilia. And if I'm a friend of a pedophile, I have no idea who it is. If I was told it is a friend, who would I think? I can only think of ex-friends, two in particular, and I won't name them because that would be slanderous and rude, and I'm not going to do it. If it was someone I know of but don't know personally, I would say Alan Dershowitz, and that's based in fact. it's based on the facts that Alan Dershowitz, Epstein's lawyer, was very many times with Epstein, and psychologically, and he denies it, and he says he kept his underwear on. Well, okay, the more he denies it without being asked, the more it's fucking true that he slept with underage. I don't think I think with a lot of them they really wouldn't care. I'm not sure about that. But I mean, like Clinton, Bill Clinton to me is like the consummate horny guy. Well, I don't care as long as they're as long as they don't mind. And it's true. I can't picture Clinton forcing himself on a female. I can picture just about anything else, but I can't really picture him. He probably wants them under 30 and under 25 if possible, and from there on, I don't think he'd care. He would probably say, wait a minute, that's a 7-year-old. I don't think he'd go for a 7-year-old, but what do I know? I think he's just a horny bastard, and there's no limit to what he would do and what he would want. So, okay, this is just laying a little groundwork here. This pedophilia, a guy as smart as Epstein was supposed to be, with all these mysterious beginnings and so on, it's clearly, like I said, given the Occam's razor, of the Charlie Kirk situation, yeah, of course, Israel, yeah, for sure. But when it comes to was he a spy or not? Of course he was. Who was he a spy for? Israel. There's just no question about that. And so I was thinking about it tonight while walking the dog, and being all normal, like a normal guy, with no abnormal dog habits, no young girls around, nothing like that. Just being a normal guy. And I was walking around thinking about Epstein, and I was thinking, I don't think anybody really talks in full, coherently about Epstein. Yes, the pedophilia. Did he really have? I mean, what is pedophilia? Is it a real disease? I think with some people it really is. But with someone like him, very calculating guy, I think a large part of it had to be his clients. He wanted clients, and if he could get, because he's taking movies, it's blackmail. It's definitely the blackmail thing, the honey trap. If you can get Bill Clinton on camera with a 19-year-old, great. But if you can get him with a 16-year-old, oh, you got him for life, And so I think that was part of it. I think that the Epstein's, whether or not he himself, there clearly is evidence of him and Ghislaine organizing forced masturbatory things, like, okay, suck his cock. What? I thought this was like my lucky break in life. That's one of the really nasty things about it, playing on innocent young girls' American, United States capitalist fantasies. Like you meet this great woman of extraordinary class and facility who knows everything and has all the money in the world. Oh, you need $100, young lady. Here, let me give you 200. Oh, what a world! What a world! And then I have access to it. And then you're taken up to learn how to give a massage to Jeffrey, and that involves you got to take your shirt off. And what? Okay. While you're in your pants, wait a minute, what is this? What, you don't want the money? I don't know how the fucking, I've read about a couple of the details and so on. It gets, they did definitely enjoy both the bisexual in her case, Maxwell's, odd sexual in his case, both odd, but anyway. So the point is that the full story has to center on, in my opinion, what he was doing for Israel, and the spying, the cameras, and I think that the focus on young girls, but never. It was, as far as I could tell, it would seem like there were never only young girls. Maybe for a party or something like that. Surely that happens sometimes, but generally there was a range, and so I mean, why, if you got Bill Gates at your island, for instance, at the same time as Alan Dershowitz, and Dershowitz, and face it, the guy's scum. If anybody liked young girls, it would be Dershowitz, I would think. My opinion, I don't know, I can't prove it, but I would think that sleazy scumbag Alan Dershowitz. So let's say I'm right. You're right. Thanks, Sasha. Now you show up. Dershowitz likes the youngins, so you gotta have a 15-year-old for Al. And by the way, he keeps his undies on, so you're gonna have to work through that. I can do it, sir. He said 500. Give her 1,000, Ghislaine. I mean, is that really enough to touch Alan Dershowitz? I wouldn't do it for several million. I mean, just touch him. I mean, Yushchenko, yes, I would have, but not Dershowitz. They didn't have the same disease. Hey, Gijo, the dog is sniffing you guys. If you're sitting down, just be careful. He's a young dog and he knows no limits. So the point is, you got Bill Gates, who a notorious, what we would call a prude, who wants to cheat, and so he goes to the island, and you right away, don't send him a young girl. He'll get all pissed off, and he won't do it. So we'll have nothing on him, and he'll probably tell on us. So you want him to be happy. You want him to get a nice, sexy woman who's clearly like 23, 24. That's how you take care of Bill Gates. But if you gotta make Alan Dershowitz happy at the same time. How do you do that? Well, he likes in this version of events, which I believe is true, and may not be. I cannot prove it. In my fevered imagination, Alan Dershowitz likes 15-year-olds, only because there aren't any 9-year-olds available. I mean, Dershowitz is just a piece of shit. Real scumbag. Anyway, so Dershowitz needs the young one, and but you don't want to have the 9-year-old, because he'll settle for the 15-year-old. You don't want the 9-year-old, because if Gates sees a 9-year-old, he's gonna just freak out. So you just if he sees the 15-year-old, he might just go, no, that couldn't have been a 15-year-old. So you got Gates with the 23-year-old. You got Dershowitz with his 15-year-old, and then you got Bill Clinton, and it doesn't matter. Just dress her up in a, to look like a sailor that got raped by a gorilla, and he'll be happy. Anything for Bill. Just keep the drinks coming, and he'll be fine. That's the nature of things, which is not the name of this podcast. Other notes, like and subscribe. Yeah, you can like, you can subscribe, but do not follow. I'm really disturbed by the fact that everybody's following. I don't want followers. I don't want anybody following. Not me. Don't follow me. Follow somebody else. Okay. Going forward is not the right way of saying it. It's an old one. Don't don't repeat what everybody says. When you notice everybody on TV now going, oh yeah, 100%, 100%, that's now the way that people agree. And some of the most bright minds, what, am I wrong? Okay, just speak up. So the most brilliant minds on TV are falling into this like, yeah, 100%, 100%. Just say, yeah, right, or 1,000 other ways, or say 100% once in a while. Say, yeah, 97%, 97%. You know, it just makes me sick. Content. This is content. No, it's not. This is gibberish, empty. You know, if it's entertaining in the least, I say one thing that you think is well said, or of interest, you know, if you say, I never thought of that. Anything. I mean, and who the fuck cares? If you read Olof Palme, then this really did something. Olof Palme, The Assassination of Olof Palme, an anthological novel. Go read it. Order it. If you're in the United States, wait until I can send books to the United States again. Trump's tariffs have fucked postal situations, and it's all fucked up. It's all fucked up. Not good for the press. Not good for the 75% of what we sell. I'm guessing, maybe more. Goes you that. Can I get one fucking sentence in? And you know what he's thinking is like, well, this is like sentence number 37, asshole. Okay, you're right. All right, gotta go. The dog's right. He's right.